Okay, we're learning Sicha of Shabbos Parshas Vayechi, Tes Zayin Tevis Tavshinun. So the Rebbe says like this: in Parshas Vayechi, he siyim v'choisim Sefer Bereshis. We finished it's the final parsha of the book of Bereshis. Sefer Rishon mechamisha chamushei Torah, from the first of the 5 books of Torah. Sefer Kloli v'Ikri. It's a very essential sefer of the 5 Sfarim. It's called Sefer Yasher, the sefer of the straight, which is the sefer of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Shenikar Yisharim. They were called Yisharim. They were called those who are straight. Which means they had a direct focus on their service and their avodas Hashem. Shebay nichol kol seder havodah b'nei Yisrael behesem l'avodas avos. And from the Sefer Bereshis, primarily, obviously from Lech Lecha onwards, we learn about the avodah of the Bnei Yisrael, how it's connected. It means when we learn the avodah of the avos, is how we apply it to ourselves. So we have to learn it from Sefer Bereshis. Like it says, Ma'isa avos, what the fathers did is a siman is a sign for the banim, for the children. And therefore, the sefer of Bereshis, not just a sefer of stories of what happened to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but it's a sefer of avodah, what we learn, Ma'isa avos, siman l'banim, assigned to the children. Therefore, b'siyuma v'chaismai. Therefore, when we look at the end of Sefer Bereshis, and Akol Hoylech Achachisim, it's known the statements brought down in Brachas. Everything goes according to how it ends, right? It's not so much as things are, but which is also important. But how does it what's the final end of the story or the situation? Is Parshas Vayechi. We learn from Parshas Vayechi. Yesh limud vayra be'inyan klali v'ikri. From Parshas Vayechi, we can learn an essential idea. Kimudgesh b'shmoy shel parsha. What is the name of the parsha? Vayechi. That Vayechi means alive, life. Inyan achayim is haklal ve'iked m'sis adam, which is the whole idea of a person. Is a person has to be alive, and that's how the parsha ends. The sefer ends with the idea of Yechi. You have to be alive. B'tzarach l'havin, we have to understand toichin hayra de Vayechi. What is the lesson? What is the hayra of Vayechi? To be alive. Kivan shachayim hu ametzis Yisrael. If we're saying that life is the Shachaim is the Metzius of the Jewish people, V'amr Israel, Shisrael Nikru Chaim, that the Jewish people are called the people of life. V'chai shalahem, and what does it mean, the people of life? Why are they called the people of life? Is because their vitality comes from shalahem yihiyat Torah, comes from the Torah. Shenikras Chaim, it's called Torah's Chaim. Like it says about the Torah, Kihem Chayeinu v'Aruch Yameinu. It's our life. It's our vitality, and therefore the Jewish people are called the people of life, because we're a people of Torah, and Torah is true life. So mahi hayra shetzarich liyos vayechi. We are vayechi. The very fact that a Jew is a Jew, and a Jew is idea is to be connected to Torah, and Torah is life. So therefore, by definition, we're alive. So what does it mean? What's the hayra to vayechi? You should be alive. We are alive. Mahi hayra. What is the lesson? Hey, Sharna, we're just starting. We're on page, so this is the Sicho of Tavshinun, Vayechi, on page 225. And the Rebbe is asking, what is the lesson of the, so to say, we learn from the whole parsha of the Sefer Bereshis, finishes off with a lesson of Vayechi. What is the message of Vayechi? Vayechi is a commandment, so to say. It's a hayra, that you should be alive. We are alive. The Jewish people, by definition, by being connected to Torah, we're alive. So he finished off in the second paragraph. Mahi hayra, what is the lesson? A person has to be alive. That's by definition we're alive. I mean, we're not talking just be alive that we're walking around. We're alive with Torah mitzvahs. But that's what the Jewish people are. I mean, if by definition, the Jewish people perform Torah mitzvahs. So you can't say the message of Vayechi is that we should do Torah mitzvahs. I mean, that's obvious. We have to do Torah mitzvahs. What's the additional message of Vayechi? We should be alive outside of being alive, via performing and connected to Torah mitzvahs. So the Rebbe says, to put the question in a little different context, he says, Yedua, it's known, Piskim Vayros Rabbeinu Azakin. It's known the saying and the lesson that we learned from the Alter Rebbe, that a person must live with the time. Hey, Howard, a person must live with the times. And if a person must live with the times, Klaimar, a person must live with the parsha of the week. It means we live with the lessons of the parsha of the week. What does it mean to live with the message that you should be alive? It means it says Vayechi Yaakov. Yaakov lived. He was alive. He was. So we can't just say that we have to determine mitzvahs. Again, that's something that we know already. So what is the additional that, especially that we live with it this week, that we're specifically the lesson of Vayechi for this week? The Rebbe is also asking a little differently. What's the idea? If it's just the general life of the Jewish people, we're always alive, not only in Parshas Vayechi, right? If the whole idea of the Jewish people is that we're the people that are alive because of our connection to Torah mitzvahs, that's nothing to do. That's not special to Parshas Vayechi. What is the unique lesson in Parshas Vayechi that the Alter Rebbe says that when you learn a parsha, you have to be connected to that parsha? So what's specific in this parsha Vayechi that's different than how we were yesterday? Yesterday we were also alive when we learned Torah mitzvahs in Parshas Vayigash. The Gam Tzarech Lav, and the Rebbe says also one needs to understand. When it comes about the general parsha, aside from what we explained in other places, Vashayach is the same as Parshas Vayechi, parsha, Shuhu Aderech P'tirs Yaakov. The other question, obviously, that the parsha talks is called Vayechi Yaakov. Yaakov is alive, and the parsha talks about Yaakov getting ready to pass away, starting off with instructing Yosef and blessing his sons, instructing his sons, blessing his sons, and then the actual passing of Yaakov. So the Rebbe says in other places we spoke about seemingly the contradiction of the message of Vayechi and the name of Vayechi. Vayechi means alive, and the stories of the parsha's main focus is the death of Yaakov, seemingly. So the Rebbe says in other places we learned that after Yaakov Avinu is niftar, is when we realize and it's revealed the Vayechi Yaakov. Means Vayechi Yaakov is not a contradiction to the passing of Yaakov, aside from the fact that obviously the Gemara says Yaakov Avinu lo meis, Yaakov didn't die, but practically the parsha is dealing with the p'tira of Yaakov and the burial of Yaakov in
It's like Chayei Sarah.
Exactly. Very good, Shana. Same question the Rebbe asked on Chayei Sarah. The Chayei Sarah is called the life of Sarah, and the whole Sarah, the beginning of the parsha is about the death of Sarah. Very good. So the same, but the Rebbe says from that in other places he explained that only when Yaakov passes away do we really understand and we really connect to the Vayechi Yaakov. Shechayei Yaakov, why? The Rebbe explains. Because Shechayei Yaakov, the life of Yaakov, hem nitzchim, it's everlasting. Ula'achi istalkus and sham in a guf, aydeze shezar b'chaim. Here the Rebbe goes into the idea of mazar b'chaim, that even after the soul passes away, by Yaakov, means departs from the body, he's specifically now he's alive by his children being alive. Means as long as Yaakov is physically alive, his soul is still in the body, we don't yet see the power, his effect on his children, on the next generation. By the very fact that after his passing, his children are still alive, Mazar B'chaim, if his children are alive, so it makes Yaakov alive. And that makes Yaakov more alive than he was when he was actually physically alive. He says, Gam Proti and Yonim, the Rebbe says aside for that, which we spoke about in other times, also the certain details of the parsha. For instance, by calling Yosef, Yosef bringing his two sons to get a blessing, Yaakov. Birchas Yaakov also further down in the parsha we learn about the blessing of Yaakov to the 12 tribes. And also after the passing of Yaakov, we learn about the final two aliyahs is the passing or the end of the life of Yosef, and Yosef's final instruction to the Jewish people that Hashem will remember you. Shaychus, and this all connected to Vayechi Yaakov. Means not just the life of Yaakov and the Mazar B'chaim and Yaakov's children who live after him and therefore continue his legacy and continue his life, but also the whole part of the parsha, the details of the blessings of the parsha, and also the passing and the instruction of Yosef that God's going to remember you. Everyone wants to put it all together. The Rebbe says to explain this, it says like this: B'teva Adam, the nature of man is shechayusei eini ba b'murgish. Person doesn't feel that they're alive. Chayis hu'inin klali l'maylam his chalkus. The idea that you're alive is not divided. I'm more alive today. We're not talking about a person feeling energetic. We're talking about being alive. You're either alive or you're not alive. It's not mischalik lepratim. It's not divided into levels or details. You don't feel it. Either you're alive or you're not alive. I mean, again, you could be healthier, you could be less healthy, you could be less energetic, whatever, not feeling good emotionally, but you're either alive or not. That doesn't change the fact about that part. L'chein ein bar b'morgish. You don't feel it. V'lachs kam kama she'etzem hanefesh mimenu nimshach u'mispash t'chayis ein bar b'morgish. Not only that, we don't also feel that we don't feel the neshama. We know that the neshama is here by the fact that we're alive. We don't feel the neshama. Klemer, he explains. What we do understand about ourselves is the details, is the division, the separations, the different times of the day, different moods we're in, the different things we're doing. That is part of our conscious and focus. What we feel and what we're in touch with is our limitations, right? I know how strong I am. I know when I need to go to sleep. I know how tired I am. Those are all details, and therefore that's what we have hakara. That's what we have recognition and understanding. And all the differences and limitations that we have per each limb of the body. How long can you stand on your feet? How long can I carry these bags? How much am I going to be? How long you need to rest your eyes a little bit. A person recognizes their limitations and their abilities of their brain, of their mind. The vision, ba'ayin is in the eyes. To listen is in the ears. That's all the details. You know how well, right? A person when their vision starts to chas v'shalom go, and you need glasses, to go to the doctor right away. It means all the details. If you're feeling well or your abilities within yourself, the details that you know. But the feeling that if you're alive or not, you just know you're alive, but you don't feel it. That's the Rebbe saying. The Rebbe says possibly one could say, how do we bring this down to this idea down in halacha? When we make the bracha shechianu, right? When we come to when we're excited that we're able to shechianu, that means we're actually alive to perform a mitzvah that comes around every once in a while. Shahida, what are we blessing Hashem with this bracha? That we're alive to be able to perform this mitzvah at this time, right? When it comes to Yom Tiv, why do we make a shechiyanu when it comes to Yom Tiv? Because Yom Tiv is something that comes around once in a while, right? Pesach is going to be in another 4 months. And the very fact that I'm here today with the ability to stand and be part of the Seder, I'm thanking Hashem, I'm acknowledging, Haidah to acknowledge and thank Hashem that I'm here. And what are you happy? You're happy that you made it to this time. So it's a specific time that you made it to. But again, it's about a specific measurement of something. The measurement is that it's the time that I made it to this time. So therefore, the Rebbe says one wants to understand what is the beginning of avodah of every day that a person's supposed to do? What's the first thing that we do? Is Amir Smoidani Lefenecha. We say to Hashem, we're thanking Hashem, Shechazarti bin Shmasi, that you returned my soul. Haidal ini nachayis. And what does that mean that we're thanking Hashem? What does it mean? Moidani Lefenecha. We're not thanking Hashem that I opened my eyes and I could see. I'm not thanking Hashem that my hands are able to move and I could. But that's also, of course, we're thanking in those things too. But it's a general thank, Moida. It's our acknowledgement and a recognition that I'm alive. Shechazarti bin Shmasi means my neshama was less in me, less functioning within me while I was asleep. And Shechazarti Nishmasi, you gave it back to me. Haidal ini nachayis. We're acknowledging and thanking God for being alive. The Rebbe says, Haidal Kadosh Baruch Hu b'chol yoyim hilei rak al inyanim hapratim. We're not just thanking Hashem. The emphasis here is the just. Kamoi, like we say further down in the morning blessings, the morning blessings that we're thanking Hashem for the specifics that He gives us, that He allows, that He makes able for us. There's certain, we today have the custom that we say all the brachas, at least in Chabad, we say them all. We wake up in the morning and we get dressed, and the first thing is you wash Negavaser again, and then you say brachas hashachar, right? And you say all the brachas right together. But it's brought down in other places that there's the idea as you do it, you make a blessing. Obviously, you're dressing yourself as malbish arumim. You clothe the naked. So and all the following blessings that we make afterwards that are for all the needs of a person. Kedisa b'Gemara, pasach einai, right? The Gemara says, this is what I just said before. The Gemara says, when a person opens their eyes, leima baruch b'kech ivrim. You're thanking God that you opened your eyes and you could see. A person you couldn't see, you're an Iver. So to say that if I wouldn't see, I'd be blind, and I'm not blind. I could see. I thank Hashem. Kilovish, when a person gets dressed, what's the Gemara say? Lema, let the person say Baruch Malbish Arumim. Hashem is able. You're thanking God and acknowledging the ability to get dressed. We don't take for granted that we see. We don't take for granted that we could get dressed on a lot of levels. That we have clothing and that Hashem gives us the ability to physically dress ourselves. Baruch Hashem when we can. Kilavish Ella. So not all. So Rebbe saying that's not what Moed Ani is. That's all the details. We're excited and thanking God for the ability to open our eyes, and we're excited and thanking Hashem to be able to dress ourselves. But there is a side for that. Moed Ani is not about that. Moed Ani is that I'm alive. Not only that, that's the first thing that we say. First, we say Hashem Moedani Lefenecha Shechazarti B'Nishmasi. We don't take for granted that we're alive. And afterwards, we get up and we get dressed, and then we say Al Bisharumim Parkeach Ivrim Moedani Lefenecha Shechazarti B'Nishmasi. Our first statement and acknowledgement is that we're thanking Hashem to be alive. U'B'Lashon HaGemara, like the Gemara says, Kad Mitar Omer Lekai Neshama Shesati Bi Moedani Lefenecha. When a person wakes up, they should say right away that you're thanking Hashem Lekai Shesati Bi. We say, right? We say, the soul that you've given me to Hayrihi, and then we say, Moedani Lefenecha, thank you, Hashem. We'll move in. So the Rebbe says, what's the idea? Shahida mitihi leirak b'pnei shemevin hadavar b'sichloi. Ade akdamas ispoinus Hashem Kadosh Baruch Hu machzloi neshama la'achi istakusa min aguf beis hashina. The Rebbe says it's understood that this acknowledgement that we say in the morning is not because the Rebbe says mipnei shemevin hadavar b'sichloi, because you thought for a second, you lied in your bed, and you thought for a second with your mind that Hashem now returned my soul to me after it left its complete, so to say, unity with the body while I was asleep. Like the Baal Shem Tov says, then the Baal Shem Tov teaches us not just when you wake up in the morning. Every second is a chiddush. Every second that the world exists, God is giving fresh vitality to the existence of the world. So it's not just because you think that in your bed and you say, okay, thank you Hashem for giving me my soul back. It's not only because you understand it, but you feel it. You wake up, you're alive. The first feeling you have when you wake up, as tired as you may be, or as much as you may not want to wake up, maybe you want to sleep a little longer, but when you wake up, I'm up. And therefore, right away, it's not because you sat there and thinking, thank you, Hashem, for making me alive. You know you're alive because you just felt it. So it comes b'mortgage, you feel it. The Rebbe says there's a chiddush here. The Rebbe is asking a question. Let's see what the question is. Chiddush gadol yeser. Shahidai hi leirak al ispashut zachayis benefesh lahachyes haguf. We're not just thinking that the soul is now been ispashtus, means it's expanded within the body to give life to all the functionalities of the body. Elagamel etzem anashama shechazarte bi nishmasi. What do we say? Moedani lefenecha v'elecha v'kayim shechazarti bi nishmasi. We're thanking Hashem for just giving me back my soul. The kayal etzem haneshama. We're talking about the essence of the soul. Chelika l'kayim mal mamish, a portion of God Himself. Ukumudgish benusach habrachas al achzarta haneshama brichas hashachar la'achin tizdaim elekai neshama shenusata bi tahiri. We're not talking about that the soul is in my body. We're acknowledging and thanking Hashem for the fact that we have a soul. That's what we say. What are we saying? That my soul is a pure soul. We're thanking Hashem for the soul itself. The way the soul is, what's tahira? It's before the level of barasa. Barasa is this. I mean, we talk about the soul as it comes down into being able to be a soul of my body. So we start off with my soul, the tahira, the way it is in the world of Atzilus. Then barasa, Yitzarta, and then finally it comes Asher Nefachtabi. Now it's in me, and it has to go through a process through the worlds. But we start off with the world of Atzilus before it's even able to come into me. The Kal Neshama Kvishi Ba'il Matzilus, V'Neshama Zu Tahirei. It's pure. Nesat you've given it to me. Achzar Bi Nishmasi, you gave me back my soul. V'Azem Moedim LaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is what we're thankful to God. Moedani L'Fnecha, Baruch Atah Hashem Hamachsin Neshamas, you give back souls. It's not only that we're acknowledging the effect of the soul. What's the b'murgish? What's murgish mean? Murgish means that we feel the effect of the soul. That we're thanking God for the effect the soul has on me. We're thanking God for having the soul altogether. That God gave us, designated a soul for each one individual person. Let's see where the Rebbe is going with this. The Rebbe says. So what are we saying in the Moedani? The Moedani is all about acknowledging our source of existence. The fact that we have a soul. Not only the way the soul gives life, but the fact that we have a soul. And the Rebbe says, what we talked about in the beginning, that what we're saying is something that a person doesn't regularly acknowledge or doesn't regularly feel. We say that the general life of a person is not something that you know. You know that you could walk, you know you could see, but that you don't feel that you're alive. It's not like this feeling. You're alive, and you feel your abilities, but you don't feel the chayis. And here we're saying, what's the Moida Ani? Is thanking Hashem not just for the fact that you're alive, but also the fact that you have a soul that will give you life. Let's see what where the Rebbe's answer to this is to understand better the question. The Rebbe says, top page 227. B'tzad gedrei adam v'abriya, the way things are in creation and about a person. Koil gidrei haneshama, also how the soul functions, or the idea of the soul. Shegam b'yos l'mayla, even as the way the soul is before comes into the body. When we say neshama shnesata bi tahirahi, it's talking about the soul the way it's an atzilas way before the soul. Only the last statement of ata nefachta bi, you blew it in me, then it becomes part of me. But the way we describe the soul as tahirahi, that's the soul in the world of atzilas, obviously before it comes down into our body. So Rebbe says, mitzad gidrei adam v'abriya, the way things are in creation. Koil gidrei neshama, as the idea, how things, the definition of souls. Shegam b'yos l'mayla, even the way the soul is before it comes into our body. B'chinas tahirahi, when it's pure. Harihu b'tzir mesuyim, it already has a tzir. What does it mean? That even though we're not yet ready to be a vessel to the soul the way it is in the world of Atzilus, it's too spiritual and too godly. It hasn't yet gone through the process to be able to, so to say, fit and stay within the body. Otherwise, if it was just a neshama and Atzilus, the body wouldn't be able to contain it. But it already has a tzir, it already has a form. It's one soul. It means we're not talking. When we say that neshama shnesata b'tahiri, and older, let's say Baruch Hashem Kain Yerbut, 15 million Jews wake up every morning at some point, and every Jew hopefully says the Modani prayer. We're not talking about the same soul. Each person is talking about their specific soul. So it already has its seer. It's my soul, not the next person's soul, even though it's not yet ready to be in me specifically, because it's already at that stage it's too spiritual. It says it already has. He says it's Harihu b'tzir mesuyim, already has a certain definition. The word tzir is a form. Hachayis hu inyan klali she'eni bar b'murgish. Aval, he says hachayis hu inyan, this life is a general idea that's not yet felt. Aval kivin shechibra nesham beguf hu b'koyach hamafli lases. At the end of the day, the ability. This is an idea brought down in Chassidus. What did he say? 25. Yeah. So also he brings on the Ramon or Chaim, that the idea that a soul could be in a body is not natural. It comes from the level of Hashem, hamafli from the word pella. It's wondrous that God can make that a spiritual neshama could be in a physical body. It comes from the level of mafli lases. Koyach atzmis, only the essence of creation. I mean, there's no creation that could create something else. That's why it's called yesh miyayin. It's koyach atzmis. Only the essence could give a neshama into a guf. Because God is beyond any limitation. Through the essence of Hashem, He can create. He makes it. Hashem made it that. So the Rebbe say basically, because the whole idea that a soul to be part of the body, it's not a natural thing. It comes from the power of mafli lasais. That from the greatness, from the pliya, from the essence of God, comes the ability for a soul to be part of the body. And because that's the case, because it's coming only from the essence of God, it's not a natural way for things to be. Therefore, Hashem makes it to be such a way It should be higher than our understanding, and therefore it's not b'murgish. We don't really understand it because it's beyond our understanding. That it goes from beyond our understanding till we feel it in our body. It's not just that the body is in a Wi-Fi connection. We're plugged in. We feel it in our details. That every part of us, our mind, our intellect, our mobility, all is affected by the soul, but the soul itself is not, the life on its own is not b'morgish. What's the idea of Rabba emunesecha? Great belief. That the belief of man, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and God's ability to do this. God's trustworthy. Means Rabba emunesecha seemingly means that I have amun in God. Also, it says the Pirush is Rabba emunesecha, your trustworthiness is great. Emunesecha amun da HaKadosh Baruch Hu she bli gvul. God's ability to be beyond is something that's felt, the very fact that we're alive. The Rebbe is trying to explain over here what's the idea of Vayechi. And I think what we're going to get to, hopefully, we're going to get to Hey in a second. I think what we're going to get to is the idea that's the Hayra of the Parsha. Means you could be alive, but you have to feel that you're alive. You could be functioning, but you have to connect to the fact that you're alive. I think let's see where the Rebbe is getting to with that. When we thank Hashem in the second bracha, l'kai neshama, we say thank you for returning my soul. And the neshama shenasati b'tahiri, my soul is pure. Atabrasi, you created. Atam shamar b'kimri, you keep it within me. Moidani l'fenecha. I'm thankful to Hashem and I acknowledge Hashem. D'lchura any movement. Seemingly the blessing doesn't make sense. Seder Nyanim, the way we describe this connection of the soul and the body and the God returning our soul to us, the Rebbe says seemingly one could ask. It says Neshama Tahirahi. First it says the soul is pure, and then it says Atabarasa, you created it. So this is a famous question. First it should say you created the soul, and the soul you created is pure. Seemingly before you created the soul, there is no soul. So how could we say our soul is pure and you've created? The right way to put it should be you created our souls and you created pure souls. How could we say tahiri before barasa? Also, kafal aloshin ata barasa. Why does it have to say ata barasa? We should just say the verbiage should be alikai shenasata be if you want to say tahiri barasa. Why does it have to say ata barasa? We just said alikai. We're talking to you we're thanking you already. So why do you have to say ata barasa ata yitzarta? We do have so it's known the famous answer. When we say the soul is pure, which is what he mentioned before, it's talking about the way the soul is in the world of Atzilus. The next three statements that you've created, you formed, and you've blown it into me. You read this in Shema, like I said before, it's how the soul now manifests down into the world of creation, Barasa, Yitzarta, Yitzira, Yitzarta, Asiya, Nefachta, Azanama Ata Barasa, Shechatei Shati, you read that in Shama Lamata, La'olam Abriya, Ba'ofen Shabriya, yet me Ayin Liyesh, Yisarach Bamshachas Madreg Shlemalim B'chinas Tahiri, Ata Barasa. Means it's not enough that the soul itself comes from the world of Atzilus, is already, so to say, in the form, into Tahiri in the world of Atzilus, because then it would never come into Barasa, it would just stay there. The way to push down, we know the famous thing that what is the yud of the letter yud have a little crown on top, because the only way the yud of Hashem is going to go into the hay is the top crown pushes it down. That's keser. That's the ratzin. Means there always has to be a higher power to push something which is higher than something lower. The thing it's something that's higher by definition wants to stay separate. Why would I want to lower myself? I'm happy where I am. Chachma is happy to stay in Chachma. It doesn't have to go to Bina. What makes Chachma go to Bina? The little crown on top, that's the Ratzin. The Ratzin is the want. The want has an agenda. And the agenda is that Chachma should go to Bina, to the Vav, to the Midas, and then to Malchus, to the Maisa. And therefore, Ratzin pushes. That's not enough. You can't stay in Chachma. There's no agenda for Chachma. Chachma has a purpose. But Chachma on its own doesn't realize its purpose. Same thing over here. The Neshama Tahiri, it's happy to be in the world of Atzilus. Why do I have to go? Why do I have to go through the process of going through Barasa, of being created to get more, to become more Chomer, to become more Gashmi? So I should be able to go in the body. Why would I want to go into the body? So it has to come from a higher force. That's why he says Ata, that Ata Barasa, that the higher power than Tahiri, he has to push it into Barasa. So he says, "Yesh tzarich b'amshachim medregesh l'mayil b'chinas tahiri." Ata barasa, v'aderech zeh b'shvil hayirid l'matiyes, and to go down from barasa to yitzira is also a descent. That's why it has to say Ata yitzarta, Ata nefachta. Why would it want to blow itself into a body to become part of a person that's struggling with who knows what? The soul is not happy. I mean, it's a struggle for the body, for the soul to go into the body. So that has to constantly be pushed by a higher rotzain, by a higher want, because there's an agenda that the person should be a soul in a body, and the body, with all its complications, should achieve something. It's not only enough that Hashem puts it there, he has to keep it there. The soul may not want to stay there after it realizes how bad it was, that its initial hesitation was right. Let's continue. The essence of Hashem, which is the want, the keser. Not only does it go into the body, but stays in the body. And because it comes from the Atzmis, and Atzmis wants it to be that way, so we recognize that. All right. This has to be discussed more in detail. It's a complicated concept. I want to see how the Rebbe applies this to the parsha. Now we can understand. What does the parsha Vayechi mean? Vayechi hu etzem chayis. What does Vayechi mean? That you're alive. We're not talking about the details. You're alive. Not just the way the soul goes into the body to give life to the specifics. The very fact that the soul is something alive. That it's a fact that it could give life, and it comes from Hashem. Hashem elikim emes hu elikim chaim. That why is the neshama alive? Because it's a chelik elikim imal. It's a part of God, and God is alive. With that, and because it's alive, it gives life. Neshamas begufim with souls and bodies. That means that you're actually alive. And that's why also that we go from Yechi into the Parshas Shemais that we read about in the afternoon by the Mincha. That we should take the fact that we're alive, the source of our vitality, by Dargis the Shemus, to bring it into the names. What does it mean, the Shemus? The Kayal Neshama Kfishiyar Lamata. That's already, your name is already a tag. My name is Ruve, my name is Shimon, my name is Levi, my name is Dina. The soul, in its status of Tahiri, could have its seer, but it's without a name, it doesn't need a name. What's the whole point of Vayechi? Is how Vayechi comes into Shmois, that it gives life to individuals. Even as it is with the name of a person, it's not about that. It's not the separation. The point is that this person now is alive. It means basically what the Rebbe is saying is over here is that we could look at our existence and be oblivious of the fact that the very fact that we're alive, and my name is Mendy and Shimon and Jarna and Howard, as individuals, we could be oblivious to the fact that the fact that we're alive is because within us is the Alikim Chaim, is the live God. And that's not just enough that the parsha starts Vayechi, but it's Vayechi Yaakov. And how long does he live in Mitzrayim? 17 years. The Rebbe says Yaakov. What is Yaakov? Is Oisius Yud Ekev. We learned many times in Chassidus the word Yaakov means that the Yud of Hashem's name goes all the way down to the heel. Shemoyer al Yirid of Amshachat the Neshama Bechinis Yud. It symbolizes how the Neshama, which is a symbol in the letter Yud, which is the chachma. That's the initial place of the Tanya says, where's the nefesh of the kiss? Is rests in the chachma. That is the idea that the vitality, the life of the neshama goes all the way down to the heel. What's the pasuk say? Yaakov, where does he live? Ba'aretz. Why is the world called Aretz? The word Aretz comes from the word Ratzin. That the Eretz represents the idea that why do I exist? I exist because I want to do what my master, what Hashem wants me to do. Even notwithstanding the fact that my soul goes from a high place all the way down to this physical body. No one's asking you. You are alive by force. But the person, while they're alive, even though you may, your natural instinct would be to stay in the status of Tahira or even Varasa, who wants to be Nefachta, but nevertheless, that doesn't change the fact that now that I'm alive, there's a Ratzin. God, there's a reason why I'm alive. And what's the reason why I'm alive? God wants me to do something, and I want to be connected to that want, to that Ratzin. Ratzasa milashin Ratzin, v'gam milashin merutza. Like it says in the famous teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, I'm with energy to do what Hashem wants. And where's that Ratzin? In Mitzrayim. Meitzer gvulam al yusa. The Rebbe says Mitzrayim over here is the idea of limitations on a high level, meaning to say in a spiritual concept. Claimer, afapi. What does this mean? Even notwithstanding, shachais mitzad atzma. This life, this vitality, who Bilti mugbal, it's limitless. It comes from a lekai, from godliness. Mikomakim any bottle mitzias adam, any mevatel mitzias adam doesn't nullify my uniqueness, the fact that I'm a particular person. It comes into me and I feel it. I'm alive as who I am. The Rebbe, what we spoke about those years, especially the idea of the world of tikkun is that oiris bekalim. The light has to be in vessels. What's the vessel? My body. What's the point of a vessel? The definition of the definition of my body, the definition of my personality. Each person, notwithstanding the fact that we have this tremendous energy of source of life from the Likai, is giving life to me as who I am. That's the Meitzar Mugvulim, that where's the Ratzin in the Mitzrayim and the limitations of the individuality of each person. And where's the person, and how long is the person, or what's the significance of the time of it? That's the Mokoim. Ishva'as Rishana, 17 years, and 17 is the number value of Tov. Tov begamat Ishva'as Re. Tov is the number value. Good is the value of 17. Shemad Gesham Shoch v'Islabshis b'Pnimius b'Pnimiusay hu ba'ofen shenirgesh hatov b'davar. It's not only that. So the Rebbe goes into the whole pasuk in a beautiful way. Vayechi, a person has to have to be in touch with the fact that they're alive. And the source of their life is the likai. It comes from the essence of God. That the ata, the very fact that my neshama is in me, is because God wants it to be that way. And I'm connected. That the idea is to bring from the yud, from the highest level, all the way down to the akev, to be connected to the ratzon, what God wants for me. And it's not good enough that it shouldn't be only by force, and it shouldn't be, that's what can I do? I don't want it, but I'm doing it. But it has to be toiv. You have to understand and appreciate the ratzon of Hashem. You have to appreciate as much as it's easier for you. It's easy for a person that they shouldn't have to go through the struggles of life. But that doesn't mean that you don't see the toiv, you don't see the good in the struggles of life. You see the purpose of why you've been created. Hashem wants that a person should see the benefit of it. Let's see what the lesson of this is that we could walk away with. The very source of our existence, of our soul. That is connected to our belief in Hashem. It has to be in such a way that it penetrates within our specific energies, abilities. That we acknowledge our very existence. Not just that we exist, but as we continue to say in the Birchas HaShachar, I open my eyes, I dress myself. that all our abilities to do throughout the day should be penetrated. We should be connected to that. The Hira is that person has to be conscious, to bring consciousness in our existence. Even the Moedani, I mean, there's a lot of, this is a Sicho that has to be learned a second time to put it all in perspective. But the idea is basically this idea that we have a natural Moedani, that we recognize that we're alive. And then we realize that the chain of events of our being alive. And there's a reason behind it. There's a eretz, there's a ratzon, there's an agenda here. There's a reason why atin nefach to be atin b'shamar b'kirmi, and that we have to have the toiv, right? The shvas yeshana, that we should be connected to the beauty behind it, not just that we should say, what could I do? Shver Zani, it's hard to be a Jew, and that's my lot in life. Appreciate your ability to accomplish something. It means if you're not going to be connected to the toiv of it, the benefit of it, how much energy are you going to put into it? The Rebbe says, let's see if this goes too much further. We'll stop here. The Rebbe continues with this idea. I'm just going to read, just to finish up, I'm going to read a little bit, a few minutes from Sif Yud, page 233. So there's other parts of the Sicha, obviously. The Rebbe says, what's the bottom line? What should we take from all this in our actual day-to-day life? The Rebbe says, we're standing in Shabbos Parshas Vayechi, Shabbos Chazak, Shabbos that we complete the first book of Torah. Shem Saimim Sefer Bereshis, Sefer Rishon Shabbat Torah, Sefer Yasher. Tzarech kol echad ve'echad, each one of us must. L'chazik es atzmai ubnei beis, strengthen yourself and your family members, and anyone you have influence on in your surroundings, that chazak v'nis chazek, be strong and strengthen. In all things Jewish, of Torah mitzvahs, that we should feel and it should be recognized, that we're alive and we're living a true life. That we should recognize and feel the individual, the essence of our being alive, the Torah, and how it penetrates our day-to-day life. And that's an amazing lesson, actually. That the Rebbe is saying basically is that what changes with Vayechi Yaakov, before Vayechi Yaakov, is the consciousness, the hakara, the recognition, and because of the hakara, you're focused on it. That I'm alive. I'm a live Jew, and I could do Torah mitzvahs. And I think in today's day and age, where there's so much negative, we could fall into the pit of negativity. And the Rebbe says that the focus is no. We're strong. We're alive. We have an ability every minute that we're alive and we're breathing. We could do acts. No one could stop you from doing something good. You could be alive. You could do something that's alive. You could be connected to Torah's Chayim that's alive. And that's Mirza Shem Chever. That is the bracha for this week's parsha. Laila Tov, everyone. I'm going to cut off Meir. I'm going to get back on in a second. Laila Tov.
Laila Tov.